Is it visible?
Not yet.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Now it's visible.
Okay, fine.
So, ma'am, could you just go into full screen with the presentation and check the slides if they are like changing or not? Yeah. Okay. Yes, ma'am. The slides are changing.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, ma'am.
मिनिमाइज नहीं किया है, वो है पीछे बैकग्राउंड।
Hello, is my voice audible?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible. So our host has joined. She will be starting in just 1 minute.
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, Soumya, you're audible.
Yeah, awesome. Great. Uh, so I hope the screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, it is visible.
Hello everyone. Very good evening to all the participants and uh, the speaker for joining us. My name is Soumya Sharma. I'm a member of IEEE SBCCS and I will be the host for today's event. I, on behalf of the entire committee, would like to welcome all of you on this event. Uh, which is a webinar on educational stress and difference between good stress and bad stress. And so I would like to start with a few instructions before we proceed. Uh, Kindly keep your mic and video off to avoid any disturbance. Please drop all your doubts and queries in the chat boxes of all the social media platforms that you're joining from. And please make sure that you fill the attendance sheet. So, a little background into the speaker for today. Uh, Niketana earned her master's degree in psychology from Gautam Budh University in Uttar Pradesh and perceived public stigma and desire to seek mental health care in Assam is one of her research among many others. She's currently working as a consultant psychologist with Halfway Home, which is a non-profit organization dedicated to the welfare of homeless mentally ill people. Her passion is to assist people who are suffering from any type of psychological distress. And so, with that, I welcome you, Niketna, and I would like you can share your screen and you can begin the conversation.
Thank you so much, Soumya. So today, am I audible right now?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah, okay. So I don't like to admit it, but I'm quite stressful today. So, how many of you, like me, have experienced even a little bit of stress this year? You can just write yes in the comment section or anything. Let us make it interactive so that I can feel really boost up. Okay. Yes. Okay. Very nice to know that. So I was brought up to believe that stress is bad for you. It is bad for your health. It is a monster. But when I thought to pursue psychology, where we had a whole subject related to stress, yes, you heard it right. We had a whole subject related to stress. And I came to know that not all stress are bad. So, today in this webinar, we will try to know more about stress, what is educational stress, and what is the difference between good stress and bad stress. So, grab a bottle of water, and because it's going to be a long journey into the world of stress, keep drinking water in between because drinking sufficient water can help us reduce the negative physiological as well as psychological impacts of stress. Let's begin.
Can anyone hear anything? Because I think she's on mute.
Sorry, I went on mute. Yes. So let's get started. To understand educational stress and difference between good stress and bad stress, first of all, we need to know what exactly stress is. So stress is very difficult to be defined. There are no definition of stress that everyone agrees on. What is stressful for one person may be pleasurable or have little effect on others. We all react to stress differently. Psychologically, Psychologically, there are at least three ways of defining stress. And those are one stimulus based definition, one response based definition, and another stress as a dynamic process. The stimulus based definition is the first definition, which suggests that stress results from pressure. The greater the pressure, the more likely that the recipient, whether a person or a load bearing beam, will scumbag. When the external stimulus becomes too great, internal collapse becomes inevitable. This definition focuses on external source of stress and encompasses its cumulative nature. Adding one more ounce to the weight on a beam may make it little difference to the total load, but may yet be enough to cause it to break. The second definition is a response-based definition, which focuses on stress as a response to adversive stimuli. This is an aspect of stress which is emphasized by Silly, who measured stress in terms of physiological responses, such as those represented by sympathetic adrenal medullary activity or by the pituitary adrenal cortical activity. Silly observed what he called the general adaptation syndrome or GAS, during which the physiological response to stress progresses through three stages. First, the body is alerted and it responds with an alarm reaction. Next, automatic activity is triggered as the body prepares to deal with the stress. This is the stage of resistance. Finally, if the stress continues beyond the capacity of the body to respond, the system is damaged and it may collapse. Now comes to the stress as a dynamic process. Purely stimulus or response-based definition of stress have both contributed to the understanding of the phenomena, but they both have limitations to it. So definitions of stress with more value in clinical practice now emphasize that stress is a dynamic process reflecting both on his or her circumstances as well as interactions between them. This newer view of stress comes from greater understanding of the part played by cognitive factors like thoughts, attitudes, beliefs, image in psychological well-being. Now, we have understood what is stress. Now, let us go to the different aspects of stress. What are different aspects of stress? So, there are cognitive aspect, emotional aspect, and behavioral aspect. What is the cognitive aspect of stress? Although the initial physiological response to stress is automatic, it can nevertheless be switched on by a cognitive factor. For example, when receiving a sudden bad news, cognitive signs of emergency stress response involve increased concentration and decreased attention span, increased distractibility, and deterioration in both short-term and long-term memory. Unpredictable response rate, increased error rate, and reduced powers of planning and organization may all follow if a person may become hypervigilant and constantly on the lookout of the sign of stress. Now, what is emotional aspect? A wide range of emotion may be associated with stress. In the early stages, which include frustration, anger, anxiety, fear, apprehension, and irritability. If stress persists, these emotions may become confounded with others such as tension, hypochondria, depression, demoralization, and helplessness. People may change in a way that appear not fit with their previous personalities. A carefree person may become over-controlled and organized, and a caring person may become indifferent, as if a radical solution is being tried out. Habitual problems such as worrying, unassertiveness, or hostility may become prominent. Sudden emotional outbursts can occur even though they were quite out of character. If such people also feel out of control or powerless to change the situation, they may start to experience panic, hopelessness, or even suicidal thoughts. If they blame themselves for stress or their inability to cope, their self-esteem and self-confidence may also suffer. Now coming to the behavioral aspects of stress. Now, some people may tend to more towards the fight and flight response. That is the behavioral reaction to stress. And some people tend to think that, okay, we don't need to act at all. So normal tasks frequently seem impossible, and when this happens, a typical fighter may persist in doing more and more and more and more, become more progressively overloaded and inefficient. Some may incline to avoid it, escape it from the difficult situation. So in that case, what happens? They miss the opportunity for solving the problem. In either case, other difficulties emerge if stress persists. So, until now, we have learned what is stress, different aspects of stress. Now we will try to learn the vicious circle of stress. Now, how does this circle feels like? I have a poem for you to understand how it feels like to be trapped into this vicious circle. This circle is something like you are trapped into a massive marsh which is slowly and gradually dragging you inside. You can get help if you just talk, but you chose not. Set me free like my tears. She says, I look pretty when I cry, when I'm sad, vulnerable, and depressed, when I'm under her control. Set me free like my tears. I am tired of my cage, confined to the rules, dependence, and perfection, like a prisoner in her cell. Only I have done no wrong. My only crime is existing. She is a demon in disguise, preying on my youth and taking my body, trying to be me in my life. Set me free like my tears. Let me drip from top to bottom. Wipe me away until I disappear forever. Set me free, set me free. Here the poet has personalized stress as a person and how it has slowly dragged the poet into the vicious circle and dragged her and put her in front of the bigger monster that stress caused, like anxiety, depression, and personality disorder. So what now we have understood emotionally what is a vicious circle, but we'll try to understand the vicious circle psychologically. It is the working model for conceptualizing stress. So most models of psychological stress is regarded as cylindrical. When stress is a problem, it is because reaction to stress makes the problem worse. People who feel under pressure at work may react by working longer hours. They become tired and work more slowly. Tension or worry increases as the work continues to build up and they find it hard to relax, sleep badly, and start the day by feeling tired and unable to work efficiently, as well as trying to make extra efforts at work. They may reach for the coffee, cigarettes, or alcohol or ask for sleeping tablets. The tension and failure to solve the problem may make them irritable and put a strain on their family relationship. Vicious circle such as this maintain the problem. This suggests that when stress is a problem, coping is also problematic. People under stress tend to select coping strategies that help them in short rather than in a long term, possibly because they choose emotion focused rather than problem focused method. They prefer to do things that make them feel better immediately and find it hard to take a longer view. These strategies are based on fight or flight responses which have evolutionary value. Keeping fighting or avoiding facing a problem and fleeing from it may both be a natural adaptive response. They will not, however, lead the person towards longer term solution. In order to understand the process involved, it is very essential to identify the nature of the vicious cycle involved. In this slide, you can see that there is like two parts: psychological stressors, physical stressors. Until now, what I have talked about is mostly related to psychological stress or psychological stressors. But do you know that stress can cause harm physically as well? So here you can see, first let us know what exactly stressor is. Stressor is something that causes a state of strain or tension. Psychological stressors example will be loss of a job, increased in a financial obligation, or moving to a new place, family issues, research responsibilities for you, or pressure for the researchers. And physical stressors may be injury, infection, some physical illness, or an environmental pollution also plays a role in stressors. So this is going to be a little bit of medical terminology, so I'll make it as fast as possible. I hope you guys try to a little bit understand it. So the stress system, processing and coping with stressful situation requires the engagement of complex mechanisms that integrate brain and body. The response to stressful stimuli is articulated by a wide diversity of brain structures that collectively are able to detect or interpret events as either real or potential threats. Threats are called as stressors. The perception of these events as stressors involve different networks depending whether it is physical or psychological stressors. The identification of a stressor leads to activation of two major constituents of the stress system and the release of the final mediating molecules. The sympathetic adrenomedular SAM axis. Axes are nothing but a group of nerves secretes noradrenaline and norepinephrine, and the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, another group of nerve, which secretes glucocorticoids. These are hormones. So once these axes are activated in response to a given stressor, they will generate coordinated response that starts within seconds and might last for days, providing quick response, enabling both an appropriate strategy almost immediately and hemostasis restoration. So I'll move forward. I hope you have understood a little bit how the stress system works. Any question until now? Okay, I will carry on then. So what are the types of stress? So there are 5 types of stress, which are distress, acute stress, chronic stress, new stress, and eustress. Now, what is distress? Response often involving negative effect and physiological activity. This is the stress that we usually talk into our lives. Like we say completely that I am feeling stressed out, I'm not feeling well, the stress is giving me problem. This is the stress, this is the distress that we talk about. Now we'll talk about acute stress. What is acute stress? An acute stress reaction occurs when the symptoms develop due to a particular stressful event. Word acute means the symptoms develop quickly but do not usually last long. Acute stress reaction typically occurs after an unexpected life crisis. For example, a sudden death of your loved one, receiving a life-threatening diagnosis, physical or sexual assaults, or natural disaster, etc. Now there in this slide, you can see an acute stress reaction, ASR, after a traumatic event. So there are 3 things that we start doing. First of all, we start behaving differently. Like we get withdrawn from people, we do not have good sleep, our appetite changes, either we start eating more, binge eating which we call, or we start completely stop eating at all. Then next we feel differently. We have anxiety that what if that incident occurs again. We always feel low in energy, and we are always, whenever someone tries to come to us and ask the question to us, we always feel irritated about it, and we avoid feelings, people, or places. And we think differently, we start thinking differently, like we cannot concentrate to our normal routine. Our dreams of that incident goes on and on into our mind, flashback of the traumatic event goes on, and negative thoughts of suicide and self-harm comes in. So what we can do if we experience ASR? First of all, we need to reach out from friends and family. Second, we need to engage in meaningful and enjoyable activities. Third, we need to be patient with ourselves because it takes time to recover. Our body needs this time to recover. Then, if nothing is working, we need to seek a professional help. Acute stress is there in case of sports person as well. For example, you are in a sports and suddenly uh, stress kicks in. Like you are calm and control, and your opponent begin to playing well. Now your heart is racing and your body is intense. Once the source of stress is gone, acute stress is gone as well. Now you need to cope. If you cope acute stress, then the outcome of coping is success. Currently, I was having acute stress. For example, before coming here and speaking, I was having an acute stress. Like I was trauma, I was taking stress about the event. So episodic acute stress is acute stress which is chronic, which is there and which is constantly becoming more and more and more and more evident in your daily life. So what happens when you find episodic acute stress is that you will have tensions, headaches, migraines, oily skin, blemishes, rushes, dry mouth, jaw pain, grinding of teeth, backbone, neck stiffness. Then there will be tightness in chest, hyperventilation, stomach ache, stomach burping, indigestion, and diarrhea, gasiness, constipation, and increased urge to urinate. You'll even have cold hands, sweaty hands, and feet and hand tremor. Why it happens? It happens when you take too much responsibility. You are being in an unusually demanding job, and you are being responsible for a loved one with frequent or significant difficulties. There is bad luck in your life and having interpersonal difficulties and having a tendency to interpret situation in a catastrophic way. These are some of the reasons that acute stress occurs. Fight or flight. The fight or flight response, also known as acute stress response, refers to a physiological reaction that occurs when we are in the presence of something that is mentally or physically terrifying. The fight or flight response is triggered by the release of hormones that prepare your body to either stay and deal with it or to run to the safety. So, in this response to acute stress, the body's sympathetic nervous system is activated by a sudden release of hormone. The sympathetic nervous system then stimulates the adrenal gland, triggering the release of catecholamides, including adrenaline and noradrenaline. This chain of reaction results in the increased rate of blood pressure and breathing rate. Well or not, I could have taken the flight, or I could have just chose not to show up, but I took the fight option here. So that's how you tackle the acute stress. So physical signs are of the acute stress: your pupils get dilated, your skin get pale, and rapid heart rate and breathing, and you start trembling. Moving forward to chronic stress, before I move forward, if anyone wants to ask any questions, they can ask.
Yeah, hi, ma'am. There's one question.
Yeah.
So the question says that in the vicious cycle of stress, a lack
Yes.
of focus, you said, is derived from stress, right?
Yes.
So, however, can we identify when this cycle is starting so that we can avoid getting stuck in it?
Okay, so identifying the vicious circle is really not easy, because when you get into that circle, it is like it's happening in your day-to-day life. First of all, you will be not able to recognize it, but slowly and gradually, when you will see that your work efficiency is lowering down, but you are working overtime. I mean, it's not like you are not studying, or you are not preparing, or you are not doing anything for your thesis or PhD or everything. You are doing overtime, but still the efficiency is less. That's when you realize something is wrong. That's when you realize that something is wrong, and that is when you know that I am in some stressful condition. That is the vicious circle you get into. You are not getting enough time to sleep. You are not getting enough time to relax. You are not getting enough time for yourself. And you have started eating habits which are, like binge eating, or eating unhealthy things like sugar cravings and all. Then sugar or high salt craving, then that something is going wrong. So that is when you start tackling it. We'll get back to the tackling part. I have ways for you to how to tackle stress as well. I hope it's clear.
Yes, sure. So we can move. There are no other questions for now. I'll take the rest of the questions later.
Yes, okay. So, what is chronic stress? Chronic stress is a prolonged and constant feeling of stress that can negatively affect your health if it is untreated. It can be caused by everyday pressures of the family, university, or by a traumatic situation. So, here it occurs when the body experiences stressors with a frequency or intensity that the autonomic nervous system does not have an adequate chance to activate the relaxation response on a regular basis. This means that the body remains in a constant state of psychological arousal. This affects body virtually every system in the body, either directly or indirectly. People were built to handle acute stress, which is short-lived, but not chronic stress, which is steady over a long period of time. So you have seen some of here, I have given some of the effects of stress. So how chronic stress affects in your body, mind, and spirit, which is it causes aches, pains, decreased energy, difficulty in sleeping, disorganized thinking, fatigue, headaches, irritability, consistent worry, poor judgment, memory difficulties, and lots more. The list goes on and on and on. What is the difference between acute stress and chronic stress? Now, acute stress is, as you know, is strong, it's not long-lived. Chronic stress is long-lived. For example, presentation at work or presentation at university. Right now I'm presenting, so I have acute stress. Chronic stress is bad relationship. Bad relationship with your peer, bad relationship with your parents, bad relationship with your educators, bad relationship with your caregivers, anything. That there is going to be a struggle. There is going to be something that you are going to discuss and you are going to burst out, and a stressful event is going to create, and it goes on every day. You are clinging to it. So, and in acute stress, it occurs like concerns about upcoming situations or event. Like this event is coming on right now, you're concerned about how it's going to go, if everything is going to go in a right way, if mic is going to work, if my presentation is going to work. So this is as soon as the event ends, this stress ends. So it is an acute stress. But a stressful job or a stressful, you are into a education line which you are not passionate about. You don't like going to class. You are stressful about the job environment. You don't like the environment. You don't like the pressure you are put on into, but every day you have to drag yourself into that. So that is a chronic stress. Now you have a recent argument with your friend or your girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse. So that is a acute stress. Like, you are going to have a argument because everybody has differences. After that, after some time or after 1 or 2 days, you are going to hug it out and everything is going to be fine and your acute stress is gone. But if your home environment is toxic, for example, the parents are quarreling every day, or someone have bad drinking habits, and all these things which are really not good, and that is going to happen every day, that is a chronic stress. Same way as running late for stuck in a traffic, that is an acute stress. And when it is chronic stress, you will find out that you will be having poor sleeping habits, and you will start to have some other health problems as well, like a chronic stomach problem, a chronic headache, anxiety. Even it slowly turns to depression. Now, what is new stress? This kind of stress occurs when you are exposed to situations that have no direct effect on you. For example, hearing about a devastating natural disaster in another part of the world can cause new stress. For example, if I give a very recent example, then the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia, although we are not there, but still we are feeling bad for them. Our heartbeats are rising for them. So that is a point of stress. So it is happening, but it is not exactly affecting us. So that is new stress. This is the good part. That is eustress. Until now, until now you have learned stress is bad. Distress is worst. Acute stress is also not good, and new stress is also bad. We don't like to hear bad things happening in any part of the world, right? So, can you imagine me being a mental health professional will tell you that stress can be good for you? You heard it right. And that is called as eustress. Endorphins are chemical produced by the body to relieve stress and pain. They work similarly like opioids. Opioids are drugs that can produce a feeling of euphoria. You have endorphins. Why you need drugs? You just need to channelize this stress into eustress to produce endorphins and oxytocin. Now, what is oxytocin? Oxytocin has an anti-stress effect. It is also called as the cuddle hormone because it is released when you hug someone. These are also two stress hormones. Your pituitary gland pumps these hormones as it pumps out adrenaline and noradrenaline that makes your heart pump. So your pituitary gland is pumping out these bad hormones, which is making your blood pressure rise, heart pump, as well as these good hormones to cope up with it. So now when these hormones release, it asks you to seek for help. Talk with someone rather than piling up. Sometimes in a stressful situation, you feel like talking to someone close to you. And that's the oxytocin doing in the stress for you. There was a study where participants were put forward into a stressful situation. But before that, they were told how stress can be beneficial. And it was seen that it urged for the better performance. One of the fun fact of oxytocin is that it is enhanced by social contact and support. So when you reach out to others under stress, either to seek support or to help someone else, you release more of this hormone. Your recovery from the stress becomes faster. This is your stress system. It has a built-in mechanism to cope with stress. Difference between eustress and distress. Now, you can see two-person are going to work, but one person is in distress because he's constantly, it's on your mind, it's what you think about it. He's constantly thinking that, okay, my work is not nice, my work environment is not nice, I have long hours to work, my pay scale is low. Or if he is a student, he's thinking that, okay, why I am into this institution, there is no good professors, there is nothing good in here, why I am doing this, why are these deadlines so high. So if you channelize it that way, then you will feel distress. But if you channelize in another way, like take it as a challenge, I'm going to do it, then you will feel accomplished. And that is eustress or good stress. Now, this is going to be a technical term, that is Yerkes-Dawson law. So what is this curve? So here it's a upside down U kind of. It is known as Yerkes-Dawson law in psychology. Here arousal relates to stress and motivation. Yerkes-Dawson formed the theory while performing experiments on mice. Using mild electric shocks, they were able to teach the mice to learn a task, which they called a habit, more quickly. But as the shocks got stronger, the mice took longer to learn and the task. Maybe because they were more focused on avoiding the shock than completing the task. Yerkes and Dawson hypothesized that as arousal increases, the ability to form a habit or perform a task will also increase. It gives you sufficient motivation. But That works only up to a certain point, known as optimal stress. As arousal suppresses this point, your performance begins to deteriorate. You are too stressed and anxious to do your best. Now, coming to the main topic, that is educational stress. So, anyone have any questions until now?
Yeah, ma'am, there are two questions in the chat. I'll just read them out.
Yes, please.
So the first question is from Anjali. She's
Yes,
asking if sometimes when people are emotionally vulnerable and already have work-related stress, coping with
yes,
the situation becomes difficult. So
yes.
do you have any suggestions on how to deal with that?
Yes, I do have a lot of suggestions. I'll go back to that because it's in the last slide. So
Okay,
we
okay.
will we'll discuss about it completely because coping is a thing that is a huge subject matter. There are a lot of effective stress relievers that I'm going to talk about today.
Sure. So the second question is also along the same line. So I'll just say it right now, and then you can explain it in the
Yeah.
last slide. So the second question is that sometimes we have stress for something that we did in the past. This is
Hmm.
being asked by Suhani.
Hmm.
For example, we sometimes regret after saying or doing something. So how
Yes.
can we deal with this?
Okay.
Uh,
Regret is something that is very much a complete different topic itself, but it has a very vast point of view. So you have to learn to overcome it. So how you are going to overcome it, you have to use some ways to do it. I am going to discuss it also. So it is something that I'll like to talk about. I'll definitely discuss it.
sure, ma'am. No issues. So yeah, we can you can move ahead with the
Educational
education
stress,
part.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
So, educational stress is also called as academic stress and defined as discomfort and anxiety that caused by different troubles of academic learning experiences. Now, academic stress may come from any type, like it will be high family expectations. The ambition goals of students set for themselves are so high, the demands placed on them by the society are so large, and the pressure from the institutions and teachers and coaches as well. It all affects the educational stress. Now, okay, it is seen in NCRB report that one student commits suicide every hour and about 28 suicides reported every day. Suicide in India rose 10% from 2019 to an all-time high of 1,53,052 in the pandemic year of 2020, with student suicides seeing the highest percentage increase at 21.2%. So it seems that stress, we are students are really stressed. Why it is happening? Because for the longest time people assumed that student population was the least affected. It was the least affected population because by any sort of stress or problem, because stress is now understood as a lifestyle crisis affecting any individual regardless of their developmental stage. The only task student was expected to undertake was studying, and studying was never perceived as stressful. What proved to be stressful was the expectations of parents for their children, of the pressure of university on them, which in turn grew into larger burdens that these children could not carry anymore. And academic stress has been identified as the primary cause of alarming figures. Lee and Larson explains this stress as an interaction between environmental stressors, students' appraisal and reactions for the same. It has now become grave reality that it is termed as a career stopper. Therefore, it becomes significant cause of concern as it is symptomatic of rising mental health concerns in India. Depression, anxiety, behavioral problems, irritability, etc. are few of the many problems reported in students with high academic stress. Incidents of depression were also found among stressful adolescents as it is linked with the inability to concentrate, fear of failure, negative evaluation of future, etc. Adolescents were also reported to be indulging in various risky behaviors such as increased consumption of alcohol and drugs, physical inactivity, poor eating and sleeping patterns. So these pressures the students face to perform is so severe, resulting in five-fold increase in suicide attempts. It becomes imperative to also understand that low stress does not necessarily ascertain that students will perform better, but in fact, under these circumstances, they would perceive the task as unchallenging, may also get easily bored. Though certain levels of stress push students towards optimum performance, when it is not managed efficiently due to inadequate resources to cope with the stress, it can have dismal consequences for the student as well as for the institution. I have data which shows that there are so many stress, so many causes of stress among young students aged between 18 and 23. And it is seen that when students were asked, 80% of the students reported that they felt stressed often. And 34% also reported that they felt depressed. Now, how mental health affects students' grade? It was seen that when it was asked, it was seen that 23.2% reported anxiety impacted them, 15% reported depression impacted them, and 31.8% reported that stress impacted them. For college students also, it was seen that 8 out of 10 say that they have experienced frequent stress, and 9% have seriously considered suicide in past year. If you see this data, you see that Asian, Black, Latino, and White, it is divided in basis of individual races. And if you see, Asians have the stress of most academic performance because of our society, because of our parents, because of how we are built into this education system where we are constantly told that you need to excel. If you get 95, no, it's not okay. Sharma ji ka beta ko 98 mila hai, tumko 95 kaise mil sakta hai? 98 lao. Now you are constantly in the, it's not like good, you have done well. 95 is a huge thing. It's like best thing. You need to go, let's go out in a restaurant. It's not like that. You are not getting any beneficiaries. You are rather told that 95 95 तो कोई भी ला सकता है, 98 लाओ. So that is the thing happening in our society. That is why the high stress level is going on. Now it also affects in the academic performance because people start procrastinating it, and they also think I could have done better if I would have less stress. But thinking about stress makes you more stressful. And they start not learning or enjoying learning, and they start working harder. This affects their academics. Then came the year of pandemic. So everything changed in this year. Our education system changed. So many of us were stranded in some places. We were like, so many of us, we were studying away from our home, we're stranded, and we don't know what to do. Everything was so chaotic at that moment. Everything became online. We need to understand how this online thing is going on, how we need to do. And I have some studies, I have some reports which students have told how they felt about it. One student said, my experience with online learning is very stressful and hard. At home, I feel like it's very hard to be prepared because I'm getting always distracted, which is very true. At home, at school, we cannot keep on looking at our phones. But when we are having an online class, we can mute it, we can mute the screen, and we can do whatever we want to. We can play games, we can go out with our family, we can have anything we want to. But then in school, that was not the thing. So we are not that distracted. I feel that online learning has nothing to be compared to physical learning, which is very true because physical learning is the key. Even for webinars, I would say that seminars is the key because you can interact, you can talk, you can have an eye contact. That way, you know that they are engaged into it. But right now, I'm talking to a screen and you are looking at a screen. Also, without a routine and schedule, I felt lost. So routine and schedule is one of the most important thing that us that is related to a student's life, because that will make your life really less stressful if you have a proper routine and schedule of your things to do. What I don't like about it is that I'm on screen all day. That is very true. Looking at your screen all day will make you more and more stressful. So taking break now often and often is very good habit actually. How to recognize stress? We are coming towards how to recognizing stress. So someone asked me, right, how you will know that we are into the vicious circle or not? Like how, which are the trigger point that will understand us? The first points you may see that you will have headaches, you will have anxiety, you'll have anger, you'll have trouble concentrating, your muscle will get tensed, and you will be apathy. And the warning signs of physical, behavioral, emotional thoughts and perception are: physical early signs are muscle tension, headache, fatigue, and tiredness. After that, it starts heat burn, shortness of breath, sleep disturbances. For behavioral, early are compulsive eating, hyperactivity, poor productivity. After that, it becomes increased absence, aggression, irritability, sudden tears. For emotional, early are anxiety, sadness, frustration, loss of sense of humor. Secondary are overreaction, hopelessness, defensiveness. In perception, early are brain fog, reduced creativity, fear of rejection. Secondary are negative self talk, feeling of unfairness, can't switch off. It also causes overthinking, memory issue, insomnia, rapid heartbeat, headaches, trouble breathing, procrastination, trouble concentrating, lack of patience, needing reassurance every time, and panic attack. And also stomach issues if you are thinking that, okay, if you are going out of your house every time and you feel like, okay, I need to go and have a poop because my stomach is becoming some problem, that is stress working for you. That is stress working for you. If you have to give a lecture, if you have to go for a study and your stomach has started to feel bad, then that is stress working for you. How stress affects your body? Stress affects your body because it starts from brain to your toes. It starts from headache, depression, heart pounding, heart attack, in blood. It also goes into the blood. It has stomach ache, not in the mood, erectile dysfunction, can't sleep, rapid breathing, high blood pressure, you name it, stress effects on it. It also has mood issues, including anger, depression, irritability, lack of energy. It also causes a lot of pain. If you have back pain, if you have neck stiffness, if you have lower bone density, then it might be a cause of stress as well. And I think you need to go and seek a professional help. Now, how to recognize academic stress? So you need to think that how many of this I am taking. If you're taking all of it, then you have academic stress. If you're taking some of it, then also you have academic stress. If you're taking none of it, then you don't have academic stress at all. So if you are having stress during for example, exam, so how do you deal with that stress? Sorry, I'll drink a bit of water. Thank you. Take up exercise. Visualize what they want to achieve each day. Share your worries with your friends, thoughts, and university counselor for the help and guidance. Reward yourself for studying. Look up for meditation. Block the internet while studying or revising. Read about successful people who have underperformed at college, university, to discount the negative thoughts. Listen to comedy, keep a plan for each day's work. Do small amount of work each day before letting it build up. Stop drinking alcohol or smoking weed if you do. How to manage stress. So this is the part everyone is asking question about, how to manage stress. How to turn distress into eustress, because stress is there, right? You need to turn distress into eustress. So, and stress is also important. It is necessary for survival. So, despite being a biological system critical for our health and well-being, however, the human stress response is rather blunt instrument. We have some surge of adrenaline, cortisol, and neophine each time we encounter a stressor, whether it be an injury, a verbal attack, exercise, or anxiety about future event. Even though these very different situations require different responses, our body chemistry treats them essentially equally. But I'm sure we can all think of situations that would categorize as stressful, but actually we're positive. For example, right now I am giving this webinar, and I thought that this is going to be a stressful event for me, but it is in turn becoming a positive effect because I am right now smiling and happy about it. So I know many of you have experience like that. For example, if you have run, you thought that okay, you have never exercised, but one day you thought that no, I am going to change my life, and you have done it. You ran 3 miles, and after that you have exhausted, but you will feel a sense of happiness. You are in a stress point, but a sense of happiness that you have brought a change into your life. Now, what differentiates the stresses that have positive impact on our well-being and those that have negative? The interesting thing is that positive or negative stress has less to do with the actual event or information we experience and more to do with the perception of the event. For example, how I think of it. For example, right now I'm speaking. Before speaking, I was feeling really stressed and anxiety, and I was, like having a rapid heartbeat. So I told myself to Niketna, get yourself together. You have to do it right. And I was accepting the stress and turning it into a positive turn. In other than that, if I would have told, hey Bhagwan, what I would do now, then it would have become an distress. I made the distress into eustress. Any stressful event can trigger either distress or eustress, but the difference lies in how we experience that stress. Working hard before a deadline can cause distress if it is accompanied by negative mind talk about how we should not be doing this, it is too hard, or we hate our job. But it can generate eustress if we truly believe in our goal we are pursuing, if this project is bringing us closer, if this project is giving us a sense of goal. If we achieve this, it's going to be great. Even though in some cases we might dislike the fact that we will get a surge of adrenaline and cortisol every time we experience a suppressing, novel, or scary situation, it is actually pretty cool to realize that we have the power to channel that psychological response into positive. So, first step to bring distress into eustress is, no matter what is going on, it is worth keeping your body calm. You need to calm your body, take time, and make the positive energy into negative. The next step is mental exercises like personal growth. It is important aspect of cultivating eustress because it makes the challenge of the situation worth the extra effort. Even if it's not direct, positively impacting you, but it helps to those you love. That is for the greater good. You can view the situation more positively. Take a second to think about a situation you have experienced that was stressful but positive. Can you pick out? For my example, yes, anyone wants to speak? You need to think about a situation you have experienced that was stressful, but in a positive way. Okay, for my example, for the first time in when I was in university, for the first time I was asked to present a paper. So me, I didn't know how to do a research. I didn't know how to make a paper. I didn't know how to, you know, do it, how to go on the stage and talk about it. How am I supposed to do it? But then when I did it, it was an opportunity for personal growth, because it was goal of mine to pursue more public speaking opportunities. I considered it an act for the greater good as well, because I was sharing. I'll just take another 5 to 10 minutes. I hope you guys won't mind sticking with me for that time. I will now tell you about the short term strategies, the fast acting strategies, and the long term strategies of how you are going to tackle stress, which is very important. So, for minor challenges to major crisis, stress is a part of our life. So, when stress becomes overwhelming, it becomes chronic, which we have learned. Now, whether you are about to be interviewed for a job, or you are feeling overwhelmed about anything else, about your studies, about your upcoming PhDs, so it is important to have some stress reduction tools that can lower your stress right now. The best short-term strategies can be performed anywhere, take very little practice to master, and are free, and it provides immediate relief. First of all, try guided imaginary. Guided imaginary is like taking a short vacation in your mind. It can involve imagining yourself being your happy place, maybe picturing yourself sitting in a bench, listening to the waves, smelling the ocean, and feeling the warm sand underneath you. Okay, with me, do this for like 2 seconds. We will do. Simply close your eyes for a minute. Walk yourself through a peaceful scene. There is green meadows, there are butterflies everywhere, there are beautiful lines of daffodils, and there is such pure air that your nostrils are feeling good. You try to engage yourself into it. Allow yourself to experience it in a real world. Now slowly open your eyes. Okay, now back to our webinar. So, meditate. Meditation brings short term stress relief as well as lasting stress management benefits. There are many different forms of meditation to try, and each one is unique and brings its own appeal. You can also develop your own mantra, and you can repeat that in your mind. That has been developed by Amir Khan in Three Idiots. You have seen, he used to say, all is well, all is well, all is well, and pound in his heart. So it is a mantra for him to, relieve stress. You can have your own mantra, or you can even use Amir Khan's mantra as well. You can also practice mindfulness. When you are focused on here and now, someone asked me a question that, we have done something in past and I regret it. And it is constantly there in my head. So that time you can practice mindfulness. That is, you need to be in present. You need to hear, feel, see your now, your area. You have seen a glass. There is water. You're drinking water. The sound of the water. I'm clicking in the keyboard. The sound of the keyboard. Ants are moving. You need to stop and see your surroundings. And you will see that when you're focused on here and now, you won't be able to think about something that already happened, and you can't worry about something in future. Meditation and mindfulness takes practice, but it can make big difference in your overall stress level as it brings you to the present. You can practice progressive muscle relaxation. It involves relaxing muscles in your body group by group. You can, like start tightening your muscles from toes to forehead. It is mostly done in yoga, where you are laid in a relaxed position and you are asked to take your mind to your toes. Then you are slowly asked to bring it upwards towards your knees. Then you are asked to slowly bring it upwards that way. Focus on breathing. Just focus on your breath, or change the way you breathe, can make a difference to your overall stress level. People used to be like, when they're talking, they'll be like, okay, that makes you more stressful. You need to breathe in, breathe out, and you need to take time. Take few minutes in breathing. Inhale first, count till 3, exhale, count till 3. If you do that, and if you are stressful in a situation, and if you're doing that, no one will even know that you are doing that, but you are coping your stress. Take a walk. So exercise is a fantastic stress reliever that can work in minutes. Taking a walk allows you to enjoy a change of scenery, which can get you into a different frame of mind and brings the benefits of exercise as well. Now, what are fast-acting stress relief strategies that will work for home? That will work at your home. So first of all, you can get a hug from your loved one, because I told you, hug releases oxytocin. So when oxytocin releases, it helps you in stress. Now enjoy aromatherapy. Now see, you can enjoy aromatherapy with scented candles and all, but then it really benefits from stress. But then if you are very much, subjected to scent, like you don't like very scented things, then you refrain from that. Create artwork, any form of art. You like dancing, singing, playing a guitar, you like to paint, do it. Nowadays, even adult coloring books have risen in popularity, and it's the reason because colors can be a really great stress reliever. Now, what a long-term stress relieving strategy that lasts your health? First of all, eat balanced diet. Stop binge eating. A poor diet can bring greater reactivity towards stress. Emotional eating and reaching for high fat, high sugar foods can provide temporary sense of relief that adds to long-term stress. Refined carbs like cookies, potato chips can spike in blood sugar. When your blood sugar crashes, you might experience stress and anxiety. Consuming a healthy diet can help you combat stress over the long haul. Foods like eggs, avocado, walnuts support mood regulation and energy balance. Make time for leisure activities. Leisure activities can be a wonderful way to relieve stress. Yet many people feel as though their lives are too busy for hobbies, games, or extra fun. But building time for leisure into your schedule could be key to helping you feel your best. And when you feel better, you will perform better, which means leisure time may make your work time more efficient. And develop positive self-talk habit. The way you talk to yourself matters. Harsh criticism, self-criticism, self-doubt, and catastrophic prediction aren't helpful. If you're constantly thinking things like, I don't have time for this, I can't stand this, you will stress yourself. Now, I have problem focused coping and emotion focused coping, but I don't think so I'll get enough time to get into those. But I would like to definitely tell something about this. because this is going to help you. And I think I need to tell you about this. Bring your senses to rescue. So, to use your sense to quickly relieve stress, you first need to identify the sensory experiences that work best for you. This can require some experimentation. As you employ different senses, note down how quickly your stress levels drop. And be as precise as possible. What is the specific kind of sound or type of movement that affects you the most? For example, if you're a music lover, listen to many different artists and type of music until you find the song that instantly lifts your mood and relaxes you. Explore variety of sensory experiences so that no matter where you are, you'll always have a tool to relieve your stress. Some examples for sight will be looked at a cherished photo or a memento. Use a plant or flowers to unveil your workspace. Enjoy the beauty of nature, garden, park, or your own backyard. Surround yourself with colors that lift your spirit. Close your eyes and picture that feels peaceful and rejuvenating. Smell will be light a scented candle or burn something. Experiment with different essential oil. Smell the roses or another type of flower. Enjoy clean, fresh air is a great outdoors. Touch, wrap yourself in a warm blanket. Pet a dog or cat, this one I do a lot. Hold a comforting object, a stuffed animal, a favorite memento. Give yourself hand or a neck massage. Wear clothing that feels soft against your skin. Taste, chew a piece of sugarless gum. Indulge in small piece of dark chocolate. Sip a steaming cup of coffee or tea or a refreshing cold drink. Eat a but Eat a perfectly ripe piece of fruit. Enjoy healthy, crunchy snacks like celery, carrots, or trail mix. Movement. Run in a place or jump up and down. Dance around. Scratch or roll your head in circles. Go for short walks. Squeeze rubbery stress ball. Sound. Sing or play your favorite tune. Listen to a calming or uplifting music. Tune in the soundtrack of nature, crashing waves, the winds, rustling trees, birds singing. Buy a small fountain so you can enjoy soothing sound of running water in your own home or your room or your office. Hang wind chimes near open window. So, having trouble, you need to find out which sensory organ is helping you the most. So, your sensory organs will help you to relieve stress. Do we need to visit a mental health professional? Yes, this is very important. If you are facing utmost stress and you are constantly putting it aside, like, okay, fine, I am going to tackle it, I am going to do it, and nothing is working, then visit a mental health professional. It is no problem, no shame to talk to someone. They will never tell anything to anyone. They are someone you need to go to and talk about. You can talk freely about any problem, any guilt, anything that you have inside you that is eating you up. If you talk, if you just talk, you will see that you have suddenly felt a little bit less from the stress. So with that, I would like to conclude. If you are in stressful, dance it out, go for a walk, talk about it, breathe, go to bed earlier, focus on what you can control, and reminiscence about good times. And ask for a hug and smile. Let's hug it out. Thank you, and thank you for inviting me here. I'm very glad to be the speaker of today. I hope you have liked the presentation, and if you have any queries on or questions after this, I'm glad to take it.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that insightful talk. I think you've left all of us asking questions about our reactions to stimuli, and hopefully, we'll be able to recognize signs of stress and deal with them in a better manner. Now, ma'am, I think if it's okay with you, we can discuss some of the questions that we got during the presentation.
Sure, yeah.
So I think for the stress related questions and how we can deal with this, you've covered that, so we can skip those. There's one question which asks, what is the difference between anxiety and stress?
So, anxiety, when your stress is piled up and piled up and piled up, and it becomes chronic stress. First it becomes distress, then it becomes chronic stress, and then it starts to develop anxiety. Anxiety, in you will physically, you will find that your hands are sweating, you are feeling lots of, like your heart is pumping, you are having high blood pressure. That happens when your stress is constantly piling up. It is actually a stress disorder. When you have lots of stress and it forms into a disorder, anxiety, depression, behavioral problems, these are stress disorders. These are the monsters that stress create.
Anjali, I hope that answers your question. We also have um, more questions. So there's one question from YouTube which says that sometimes it is seen that we feel nothing about anything or everything happening in our or anything happening in our lives. Nothing makes us feel happy or comfortable. We just pretend to be okay. So how can we avoid or face these kind of situations?
Yeah, you have heard that song as well, right? It is something that said, "Do you feel like nothing is happening? We are just hanging by a thread." Like that kind of thing. So it is okay to feel that. It is okay to feel that. It is okay to feel stressful. It is okay to feel depressed, because this is a sign of anxiety and depression. When you feel that nothing matters to me, and I am like, I'm just going on in this life, I don't have a goal, I'm going in the direction where I'm just waiting for, like death. That is depression. In this sense, you need to talk to a professional, because talking to a professional will really help you out. And you should not fear to go to a professional. They'll not scold, they'll not shout, and no one will tell. They will also not talk about it to others, because we in our society, we have so many, like hoax or rumors that say that you should not go to a psychologist. Why you're going to a psychologist? You are not mad. You don't need to be mad to visit to a mental health professionals. You need to tackle down these problems. You need to go and speak to a mental health professional.
Uh, so we have another question.
Yes.
I'll combine these two questions. The
Yes.
question is that can we as parents follow some guidelines as to how to reduce the exam stress on our kids? And how can we help kids cope up with their stress without letting them know?
Okay. Yes. Parents tend to tell kids, especially in Asian countries, we are seeing that parents are mostly like, you have to become an engineer, you have to become a doctor. See, that kid nearby in your house, Sharma ji ka beta, or he's scoring like 98, 99%. Is where is your score? What are you doing? This should not be the approach. This should not be the approach. You need to give your kids, little appraisal, little treats for doing better. The kid have studied, he have studied like 1 hour. Give them their favorite treat. Make a favorite treat, whatever they like. Make a healthy burger maybe, or something. There are thousands of recipes in YouTube nowadays. But do something that makes them feel good to perform better, to perform more effectively. And once they feel good about themselves, because if we are constantly telling that you are not good, you are not doing good, you could have done better, they suddenly start feeling that, yes, I am not good, I could have done better. That comes to your mind, and you are like, you start procrastinating, like, what am I going to do? I'm not good. I'm not good, then how will I do? That is installed into us. So we need to stop that. We need to stop doing that to kids.
Okay, we have one last question. I'll just take that. So, what happens if we land up in a situation where we try to take something as a challenge, which is eustress, but later the same task becomes difficult and unmanageable, which is distress? And how
Yes.
should we channelize our mind in that case?
Yes, that is very important. Because say, eustress and distress, they are very, like very similar, to be very honest. You need to understand what is eustress and what is distress. So first of all, you think that okay, you can do something and you will do something, and you are ready to take the control of it. But then suddenly you realize that it is not helping, it is not doing, right? That is when you have thought in your mind, you have set in your mind a goal which is actually overachieving for you. Then you have to calm down, first of all, start over again. Why you first of all ask yourself why you have took this challenge. You need to question yourself. You need to talk to yourself. Why I have taken this challenge? I have taken this challenge because this is my goal in life. Because I know I can do it. Because this is the thing that I am good at it. You have to ask yourself this. And if the answers are yes, then you start over again. Because these are some things in good stress, that we can, try again and again and again, trial and error that we do in our life. That is a predominant part of our life. We'll have to keep on doing trial and error. That is only the thing that we will learn. In science, you see a person, someone is doing something, everyone is doing trial and error, right? That's how we create, that's how electricity is created. That's how everything is, that's how computer is created. You have to do trial and error in your life. It's okay to fail once, it's not a big deal, but it's not okay to try. You need to try.
That was a good response. Huh? So I think with that, this concludes the number of questions that we have, and thank you for answering them. And we are really thankful to you for giving us our time from your busy schedule and speaking to us about this extremely important topic. We, the members of the committee of IEEE SBC, would like to show our gratitude to you by presenting a virtual token. Unfortunately, this is a virtual token. So I'll just take over as the presenter and I'll showcase the memento.
Yes. Okay.
I hope this is visible to everyone. And to I would also request all the viewers and all the members to turn on your cameras so that we can have group photos in order to commemorate today's excellent talk. Anjali, are you here? Uh,
Just give me.
sorry, just 1 second. Um,
Anjali, is the
Yeah, it's done.
snapshot taken?
Yeah,
it's
it's
Okay.
done.
done. Okay.
Uh,
Okay, great. Yeah, so and to all the attendants, before you leave, I request you to fill the attendance sheet as well. And finally, on the behalf of the entire council, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Niketana Goswami, IEEE KGP, and all the SAC members and all of our viewers for making this event successful. And with that, I conclude today's event. Thank you so much for the talk, ma'am. It was extremely insightful, and I think it's helped all of us recognize a few patterns in our behavior and be able to deal with them better. So, thank you for that.
I hope you do. And if you feel any kind of more stressful and something that you are not able to cope up, I would suggest please visit your psychologist or your counselor. You might have an university counselor. Please visit them. And thank you so much to IEEE for inviting me to this. I'm really grateful for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Those who are watching the talk on WhatsApp, on Facebook and YouTube, you can find the attendance form in the chat box.